Hello, my name is Dick Taylor. I'm an American married to a Scot who used to be a flight attendant. Because of Marion's airline career, we've been able to spend at least 2 months every year here at our lighthouse in northern Scotland, in the Scottish Highlands. We bought it back in 1988, and we've loved it ever since. Marion and I, together with our trusted professional Gordon Allison, have put together this video to advertise, tell people, and sell our property. We're contemplating that sale, I got to tell you, for one reason only, and that's because we're getting older. Even though Tarbat Ness is only 3 hours from London, it's quite a distance from California, and I'm nearly 80 years old. So anyway, it's for sale. The tower that you see there was designed by the grandfather of Robert Louis Stevenson about 1830. It's about an hour's drive on good paved roads north of Inverness, Scotland. It's at the tip of a peninsula which divides the Dornoch Firth from the Moray Firth. It's totally automated now, of course, and since the tower is one of the highest, actually in the entire United Kingdom, the light is really unnoticeable at the base unless you're outside stargazing or something. I took this photo from a favorite beach. It's on the Moray Firth side of our peninsula, but you really shouldn't just look at my pretty pictures of Tarbat Ness and the area. Check us out on Google Maps and YouTube, because that gives you a bit more of an impartial view of an area that I think is one of the greatest areas in the world. Our nearest village is called Port Mahomet. It's named after some saint or other, and it's about 3 miles down the peninsula. It's got the usual things that villages have, plus a really fine restaurant and a nice beach for children, sheltered and sandy and what have you. Naturally, being in Scotland, it's also got a links golf course. And if you're a golfer, or even if you're not a golfer, there are dozens of golf courses in the vicinity, and at least 8 or 10 and within an hour's drive. Actually, you should have a good chance to play golf here too, because the average rainfall at Tarbat Ness is only 24 inches a year. In this photo, the Dornoch Firth is to the left, and the Moray Firth is to the right. By the way, moonrise and moon rivers on that Moray Firth are truly magic. Anyway, our property is delineated by the front stone wall, the one with the gate, and by the 2 side walls at its right and left ends. But that stone wall at the back is an interior one, and there's a rear gate which is out of sight behind it, and then the fenced property line curves out through that dark heather to meet the left stone wall about 10 yards behind the garage. It's not quite 2 acres. It's entirely walled, fenced, and gated, and it's all ours, or possibly yours, except for the tower buildings remaining under the ownership and control of the Northern Lighthouse Board. There's a public car park about 150 yards down that private road in the corner, and only our invitees and very, very occasional lighthouse personnel are allowed to drive up it. But sightseers can and do park and walk out to the point. The large building just to the left of the tower is actually 2 separate adjoining homes. For some reason, they're called cottages, even though they certainly don't look very much like cottages to anybody. Just below the garage, at the left edge of the photo, you can see an elevated stone terrace. Marion and I usually spend an hour or so every day just sitting on that terrace, sometimes with a glass of wine, looking out over our private and exclusive vista. And this is what we see. The view from our stone terrace is always a bit the same, but always magnificently different. It's hard to explain the way it makes you feel when you've been out here for half an hour or so. The Cadogan Guide to Scotland, page 400 or something, describes this vista as stupendous. and we think it's entirely right. Maybe a little bit understated. Here's another panorama shot that I took just the other day from outside our back door. I didn't even go down to the stone terrace because I guess we didn't need to. One of the things that make this vista so wonderful to us is that it's west facing, even though we're on the east side of Scotland. We're on the dry side of Scotland. The gloaming and the 11 o'clock summer sunsets here, they're truly unbelievable. Here's a couple of shots that I took from the top of the lighthouse tower. Because of the many different unusual varieties of this maritime heather, and because it's considered to be an important landfall for migrating birds, the end of this peninsula, it's owned by the county and it's covered by all sorts of wildlife protections. SSSI, Ramsar site, it's EU Birds Directive, and I don't know what all. But anyway, there's not going to be any building or neighbors for you on the peninsula. Our privacy begins right about down here. See that rabbit? That rabbit's allowed to come in, I guess. But anyway, other folk have to walk from this point all the way up. This sign tells you about what I told you, which is about the maritime heather and the migrating Scandinavian birds. And it's a well-known, famous beauty spot. Here's some of that heather that I was telling you about. It's on this side of the lighthouse, on the other side of the lighthouse, and very rare, though, other places in the north of Scotland near the water. Heather is usually an inland growth. Here's a still shot of the front gate from the ground level, and here's another one of the back gate, the one that was out of sight in the aerial photograph. Notice you're looking up at the garage. Here's another shot of the garage. Inside that garage, we've got two different things. On one half, it's an exercise room for Marion and me. The other half, as you can see, is for our Honda lawn tractor, but you could probably get a car in there as well. There's our Calor gas tank. We have LPG for heating and cooking. Marion doesn't like electricity. Here's the hallway of the north cottage, our cottage, the one we live in, and the nicer cottage I think you'll find. I hope you like the furniture and furnishings because everything is included. Appliances, rugs, books, you name it. We're going back to America. We'll leave everything with 2 or 3 suitcases accepted. So anyway, going around this property, we'll start on the left-hand side there. On the left, there are 2 sitting rooms. On the back, there's a bathroom, a linen closet, a regular closet, the bedroom, and then on the right, that door you can just see over there, that's to the dining room, kitchen, and 2 utility rooms. The front sitting room has a gas fire. It has a built-in bookcase that you see there. It's a cozy room. It's wonderful to listen to music in it because the acoustics are so good. The walls of these cottages are 30 to 36 inch thick. And here's our rear sitting room. This is a double room. We've carved it out from the other cottage because we wanted 2 extra windows on our side looking out over the Dornoch Firth. You can see we have television, that is a satellite television, and lots of space. The windows in this cottage and the other are double glazed for insulation purposes. This is my wife's knitting chair. It's her favorite chair, and that thing on the wall in front of her is a storage heater. It's an economical way of heating when we're not around. You can see why it's her favorite chair, though. Look at that view. Here's our bathroom. It's fully tiled and granite countertops and what have you. The shower door is also a full-length mirror. In addition, there is a hinged mirror that swings out in front of the sink for shaving and makeup and what have you. Otherwise, you'll have that magnificent view. And here's our 1 bedroom. This means, of course, that anybody who comes to stay with us must stay next door, and we don't have to cook breakfast for them. Notice that that's a beautiful Amish quilt on a rather large bed. It's a California king-size bed. Now if you're turned to the right off the hallway in that first shot I showed you a couple of minutes ago, you'd have come to the dining room and the kitchen. This is our dining area. It's set up for two because usually it's just Marion and me, but the table does expand to seat 6, maybe 7 if you scrunch it a little bit. This is the kitchen. It's got granite countertops. It's got a granite splashback. This room and several other rooms in this house also have exhaust fans because the walls are so thick to get smells and various things out. We've put fans in. This is a little bit of a panoramic shot of the whole area. See the front door there in the background? And again, it gives you an idea of how thick the walls are throughout. As we were taking this picture now, we happened to glance out the window, and Gordon, our photographer, couldn't resist this shot of a ship going by. And here's our first utility room. We call it the spa room for a pretty obvious reason, and you can also see a pretty obvious reason why there's no bathtub in the bathroom. This is where Marion and I spend an hour after or before sitting outside on the stone terrace that I mentioned. There's a shower on the right that you can't see, so rinse off chlorine. We also have a Maytag washer and dryer. They're full-size American models, but of course they've been adapted for use in Scotland. And here's our other utility room. It more deserves the name utility room. There's a refrigerator we have, and lots of other things of the sort you need in a lighthouse cottage in the north of Scotland. Here's the south cottage. Almost everything in this cottage, the rooms that is, will be off to the left. Through that first doorway is the sitting room, dining room, also the kitchen and one bedroom. Straight down the hall is another bedroom and the bathroom. Just that door you see just to the right is a kiddie's room, children's room for a third bedroom. This is the sitting room and the dining area of the rental cottage, the cottage that friends, relatives stay in when they come to visit us, and the cottage that when we're not in Scotland, we rent out to other people. The kitchen is a small Pullman type kitchen. Again, it has everything that a kitchen needs, not terribly fancy, but completely adequate. This is the first of the 3 bedrooms in this cottage. It's a twin-bedded room, as you can see. And here is the back bedroom. We did give our guests and friends at least one view of the Dornoch Firth out the window here. Here's the bathroom in our rental property. We put the window in here as a frosted window because people may have more modesty than Marion and I do. And finally, here's the children's room, a couple of bunk beds. That was the room to the right of the hallway. I might note that this room only has a brick wall, one layer of brick separating it from the first sitting room next door, which brings me to the point that it would be very, very easy to make this property into one if somebody wanted to. It's about 30 by 100 feet on the outside. Here's a panorama shot I took just the other night from our stone terrace. We sit out and look at it in silence. I'll let you look at it in silence. And your wine, Mozart, and jacuzzi are just a few steps away, back in your cottage. Well, there you have it, our Shangri-La. We both wish that it were closer to California and to Medicare, but it's not, so it's for sale. Now, because this video is destined for immortality on the internet, we've decided not to include our price or any other numbers. So here's Marion to wrap things up.
Hello, yes, I really do exist. If you're truly interested in acquiring our wonderful lighthouse property, and we hope that you are, please contact us at our email address, gr8skot@sbcglobal.net. Say it fast and it's great Scott. We'll be in touch. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.